Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul, joined by Jack Weinberger and Robert Ziggy Ziegler at the University of Virginia for a week 13 recap. And if everyone's enjoying this channel, we'd love it for you to like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. We're chasing down 20,000 subscribers. You can always become a member by going to our channel homepage and selecting the join button to participate in various competitions and try to win some rewards, some t-shirts over the course of the NFL season. I'm sure we'll have some fun stuff going on in the off season as well. If you can't listen or watch on YouTube, you can always listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. And again, we appreciate everybody who listens. If you want more content, go over to Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We'd love it for you to become a follower of those channels for us. It's important for us to grow those as we continue to build out the show. Because as we do have, as companies at some point, we're hoping, look to pick this up, you need those other platforms to be doing well. And we do okay there, but YouTube's really our home. So appreciate it again for everyone who listens. And why don't we get into it, guys, with week 13, a recap. The power rankings is where we're going to start things off. Last week, arguably our best power rankings of all time. Just to recap them, Ziggy went Steelers at 10. The big blunder was myself putting the Dolphins at 9. I mean, I thought that the Packers would win on Thanksgiving. I thought they might win convincingly. But given how Miami had played, I said, prove it. Prove you're a top 10 team. They did not. The Seahawks at 8 for Jack. Ziggy goes Chiefs at 7. I put the Packers at 6. Jack begrudgingly put the Vikings at 5. The Ravens were at 4. The Bills at 3. Jack goes Eagles at 2. And the Zigmeister put the Lions at 1. So today, I start off the top 10 here. And Ziggy, you were saying you found this spot to be a particularly difficult one to handle?
Yeah, I had a very clear top 9. The team that I wanted to put most at number 10 is actually a team, we're recording this on Monday, a team that plays tonight, the Denver Broncos. So I don't know what I have to do, but not my problem.
Very fair enough. Not your problem. I think that the Broncos were another team as well that I considered for this 10 spot. And if they do wind up winning the Monday night game, I can see a world where I shift them into the 10, and I kind of envision them winning this game. But for now, I'm going to go re-entering the top 10, the Washington Commanders. And they're right on the bubble with me with a few teams there, but I like Washington in this spot. I thought they responded really well to a couple bad losses with just a great win over the Titans. And generally speaking this year, outside of the Giants games and division, we know on this show, division rivalries are always tough. The Commanders have done a nice job of really beating down the teams they should, most of them. Forgive me if I'm forgetting something here, but generally speaking, they've done a very good job of taking care of business when they have to. They've just lost to the teams like the Eagles, the Ravens, that they're supposed to lose to or that we expect them to lose to. So I have the Commanders there at 10, and I'm not sure if they'll stay there the rest of the year, but they've been a fun team over the course of the season, and I thought they deserve to re-enter.
Yeah, before we started recording here, I made a last-minute change. I initially had the Chargers in there at the 10 spot, but I put Washington there as well. A team who just felt angry, like wanting to take out anger on somebody after dropping 3 straight close games. And that team
wanted
was
them to the Eagles or to the Steelers as well.
Right,
that Steeler game was great.
Yeah, so dropping 3 games where they felt like they could have had a chance to win. The Titans, too, defensively rank in the top third of the league in yards allowed. Washington just pissed that down the toilet. But they entered my top 10 as well. So I think that's a good pick.
Sweet.
I've got the Commanders at 9, actually.
Oh, okay. So all right. So
they were in my top 10 last week. Obviously, I'm not dropping them out after this performance. I think the offense is going to rebound just fine, and they showed they will.
How about you, Jack, at 9?
All right, 9, I got the Seahawks. This was a tough spot for the Seahawks. You win a big game at home, take the division lead last week against San Francisco. Now you fly across the country to the East Coast, play a 10 a.m. kick your time. You find yourself down 21-7. And
saved by Leonard Williams.
Saved by pick 6. But, I mean, easy to fold. And they come back, find a way to win the game against a really desperate Jets team where you're waiting for them to finally win a game again. And hey, Cardinals lost. Niners lost again. This NFC West now is Seattle's for the taking. So I got the Seahawks at 9. Good comeback win this week.
I have the Seahawks at 11. They're the first team out for me. beating the Jets, I think it sounds like it means more than it does. Aaron Rodgers is playing like one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. The defense has collapsed for them. The team's totally checked out. So that win doesn't mean a lot for me. The Seahawks have played good football. I just want to see a little bit more from them before I move them up. But where you've got them is quite reasonable. And with games coming up against Arizona and Green Bay, they've got a chance to show that they go into that top 10.
Yeah, I also had them as the first team out in this spot here. The offense has just been okay the past few weeks. I don't completely trust Geno still, and I don't think I ever will, at this point. But I think they're in a great spot to win the NFC West. I still think I lean. Well, I told you in the show yesterday, Seahawks or Cardinals, whoever wins this weekend will probably win the division. So yeah, I'm okay with it at 9. I guess now I'm assuming Ziggy and I had the same team at 9 for me and 10 for Ziggy. So we'll see as the rankings go on here whether or not we agreed. So Ziggy, how about 8?
At number 8, I'm putting a team. This is the highest I've had them all season by far.
Oh, no,
so don't come at me for this. This is a team that's been climbing up the ranks and is coming off, I think, their best game of the season. The Pittsburgh Steelers are slotting right in here at 8. I think they are the number 1 tier 3 team. I do not think this team is a legitimate Super Bowl contender. I think they're the best team in the NFL that's not a legitimate Super Bowl contender. This game from the offense gave me more hope that this team can actually be good than I've had all season long. But I can't change my perception on this team on the base of the defense collapsing and the offense putting up a good performance against maybe the worst defense in the NFL. Certainly the worst single unit we've seen from the Bengals in like 20 or 30 years, which is saying something. So the Steelers are moving up to 8. Clearly, I'm starting to get some faith in them, but I want to see more from them, from this offense consistently before I move them up any higher.
I had him at 4, so I think it's a little bit low, but I respect the respect that you're starting to get from my boys.
Well, now I'm kind of curious where Jack's going to go with this because, Jack has his list, but once things start to veer off, he can tend to forget that teams exist. So
I had the Steelers at 4.
So who's at 7?
Do you think there's 7 teams better than the Steelers?
Yes.
I just find that I find that outrageous. Like who?
Well, we'll find out.
We'll find out.
So now I'm in a weird spot here.
Oh, yeah, but Paul's up next.
It's me.
Oh,
okay.
Thank
God, it's me.
Sweet.
All right, at 7, I'm going to put the Ravens. I'm going to go Baltimore at 7 here. They're a weird team to me, man. Like the good Ravens can blow anyone out. Like anybody, including Buffalo, I'm going to throw in Kansas City in there. They are unstoppable when Lamar and Derrick Henry are both rolling. And then they had these other games where Tucker's missing field goals this season. That's not good. I just don't completely trust them anymore. And I thought a couple weeks ago that we are going to be looking at this Baltimore team, the offense really taking them on another one of these crazy runs during the season. And then they went to Pittsburgh and didn't look very good. Philadelphia made a huge statement just yesterday. So I think 7's the right spot where the ceiling's so high, but I'm starting to think that the floor is lower than expected for Baltimore, and that defense has had problems throughout much of the season. Like that could kill you in January. And it's weird to think of the Ravens defense not being stellar. Like anything less than stellar is usually underachieving. And this year they just have not lived up to the expectations.
I mean, yeah, I had him at 8. I think I'm out on this team.
Out.
I mean,
I'm
yeah,
not out on them.
I don't understand how you host such a huge game, 425 slot, national TV. You're up 9-0 and you lose. See, teams like the Steelers, the Packers, the Chiefs, that 425 slot against these big teams, they never lose those games.
I'm sorry, we're not justifying a rating for the Ravens by talking about how they perform in the 425 slot. That's not happening.
Yes, I am. That goes into my ranking. Like if you're hosting a big time team, 425 national TV with a nice lead to start and you blow it, that loses brownie points for me. I was shocked. I had a lot of money on the Ravens money line in that game. Shocked.
Okay, we found out why. Jack's got him at 8.
So I had them at 8. Like the Steelers, they wouldn't lose that game at home. Packers, no. Chiefs, no. That's just, you can't do that at home. You can't lose a game like that at home.
Okay, so who do you have at 6 now?
I dropped them. They're at 8, so I think that's a good pick at 7.
Thank you.
6, I mean, to me, there's 6 teams left, like, who we can rank.
It's just ordering now.
So, yeah, I'm just going with the worst team out of the 6, and that's the Vikings. I mean, Like, they're finding ways to win, similar to the Chiefs, but it's just, you can tell this team is just, like, not very good.
Really?
I mean, like, the Cardinals were smacking them around and they came back. I haven't seen a whole
Cardinals
lot.
were in our top 10 early.
I haven't seen a whole lot that says this is a top 5 team in the league who can win a Super Bowl. So I'll throw Minnesota at 6.
I'm sympathetic to that, actually. I also have Minnesota at exactly 6. Yeah, I think this team is good. They can play good football. Sam Darnold looked like himself for the first time in a while, so that's good. But what a good performance from Sam Darnold meant in this game was beating the Cardinals by 1 point because the defense couldn't get it done. I'm a little bit nervous because we saw last season for Minnesota, people started to figure out the floor's defense, and it wasn't nearly as good down the stretch. Obviously, better personnel this year. Everything's been better for this team, which is why they're as high as they are. But I'm not sold either, Jack, on the Vikings being a sure thing. But they've looked very good, and they've got a chance in the division. So you got to put them high.
Yeah, the Flores defense thing I'm a little concerned about when we play good offenses, and we really haven't played too many of them. I mean, I do think the Arizona offense is solid, and then Arizona's a good team. That's a good win against the Cardinals. It was a great comeback. And to be fair, also, the Vikings missed a field goal in the first half. Had a couple, had some really nice drives where they just couldn't get in the end zone again. That's been a problem. As far as the Flores defense, they've allowed 13 to the Colts, 7 to the Jags, 13 to the Titans. They allowed 16 to the Bears before 11 points in 2 minutes, and then 22 to Arizona. So
they allowed 27 to the Bears.
Sure, they allowed 27.
The defense couldn't stop the Bears from taking it to overtime.
All right, I mean, the Lions defense couldn't stop the Bears in the second half.
I mean, the law of averages will catch up to a team who wins lucky games by 2 every week. Like
that's the Steelers are the team with averages here.
No, the Steelers
are the ones who have
the
fumble
Steelers
sixes
team,
and pick sixes and punt returns.
The team
and
that was
blocks.
11-0. That Steelers team, yes. This Steelers team's a different breed.
No, every Steelers team is the same crap every year.
We're talking about the Vikings. This team just skates by week. Like, the law of averages does catch up. Like, this is not like sustainable.
I don't think they skated. I don't think they've skated by until they did not skate by the Titans. They did not skate by the Bears.
You did skate by the Bears. It was overtime.
The Bears was it would have been a terrible collapse against Chicago.
Going to OT with the Bears.
Yeah,
of course you skated by the Bears. Then you beat the Cardinals by 1 at home, and we would have killed the Cardinals.
You look at the scoreboard to the Bears game, and you could say they skated by. But if you watch that game, it was all fine. No. And it was a fluke.
Going to overtime
onside kick
is skating by.
They don't. No
going
one
to overtime with the Bears
kicks.
is skating by the Bears. And for me to put you in the top 5, that's pathetic. So that's not worthy of a top 5
You put us
team.
at 6. You put us at 6. So
because I'm forced to.
So Ziggy, now you start the top 5 here with number 5.
Yeah, number 5 here. I am putting a team that reminds me a lot of the Minnesota Vikings. Even though they're one bit lower than me. I'm putting the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes.
If you look, I know putting the Chiefs here, we put them even lower last week. I don't really like that they're climbing after what happened. But what have they actually done in their past 5 games? Past 6 games, if you want, right? They played the Raiders, beat them by a touchdown. Overtime against the Bucks, block a field goal to beat the Broncos, lose to the Bills, need a last-second drive to beat the Panthers, and need something even more improbable, right? That ridiculous snap to beat the Raiders. Like, this Chiefs team, whatever you say about the Vikings and how they're gutting out close wins and getting lucky, the Chiefs, it's even more true. The difference is of the Chiefs, we haven't seen the same kind of upside we've seen from Sam Darnold and the Vikings this year. I know they beat the Ravens week 1, but that's so long ago at this point that I'm not willing to put a ton of stock in that. Things need to get better in Kansas City if they want to have a three-peat. And I haven't been impressed of how this team's played. It's still Patrick Mahomes. It's still the Chiefs. They're still 11-1. They deserve some credit. But this does not look at all like the Chiefs from the past couple of years, even considering the Chiefs didn't look as great in the regular season last year.
I mean, what is stupid, though, is like they'll find a way to probably get the 1 seed and then host everyone and somehow go to the Super Bowl again. I totally agree. Like I don't really think they're that good right now either.
This was the first time where I've actually been frustrated watching a Chiefs game with them finding a way to win. Typically, with them being an AFC team, I root for an NFC team. I don't really care. Whatever happens, happens. I think it's funny when people always get mad about Kansas City winning. And in the Super Bowls, I root for them because they play against a lot of our rivals in those games. So I typically, enjoy their last second miracles. This was the first one where I was rooting for Vegas. I was rooting for Aiden O'Connell, and just to see the way it does always end, and it's a different kind of miracle each week for them. Where this one just felt, I was like, really? Okay, like, all right, enough of this. Like a fumbled snap because of a clap on the cadence, like confused the center. Like, really, that's how this game is ending here. Especially with the block kick so recent. I just finally got a little fed up with it and was like, okay, something needs to stop here. Like, it's okay if they get the 1 seed. To me, they're fine. They find ways to win. But this was just one where I was like, that it's so lucky. That as someone who roots for a team that when things matters, it usually gets so unlucky. I just had enough.
They're really not very good. Like
it's hard not to say
them and Minnesota will be like top 3 seeds and lose at home in the first round. That's exactly what's going to happen.
We won't be at home. Well, Detroit will.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You're definitely.
I'm not picking Kansas City to lose a home playoff game.
Minnesota, you're definitely out in the first round then.
Now if we go to Atlanta.
We'll
beat Atlanta in Atlanta.
I'll just say, if you're bearish on the Chiefs, right? The Bills have that tiebreaker, and the Chiefs are only up 1 game. I know that the Chiefs have a relatively easy rest of schedule, but if they keep playing like this, there's a real chance Buffalo can snack it from them.
Oh, there's no chance the Chiefs win in Pittsburgh.
Well, hey, that Lions-Bills game is going to be huge. If the Bills lose that, they're probably out of the 1 seed running.
But if the Bills win that, the remaining games are 2 against the Patriots, the Jets, and the Rams. Like, the Bills have a real path to the 1 seed here.
Oh, yeah. No. I think it's going to come down to that Bills-Lions game, and the loser is probably out for the 1 seed. And I'm sorry, the Lions won't be out for the 1 seed in their division, but the loser of that game, it becomes much, much harder down the stretch here for me to see them getting the 1, especially given Philly's schedule. That's what I'm talking about with Detroit. Although I'm not sure who owns the tiebreaker there. Okay, so at 4, I'm going to go with the Packers. I don't love putting Green Bay this high. I think they're playing really good football at the moment. Jordan Love has been much better. But as far as the top 5 team, I think they're right on the cusp of it, but I wasn't ready to put them in it. This game against Detroit, to me, is the one where we will see where Green Bay stands amongst the elite teams. They've had some nice wins, but again, look who they've beaten. Chicago's a good win on the road. 49ers backups, I don't really care about. And then the Miami game, a nice win, impressive win against a Dolphins team that maybe we were overrating. And Packers fans might get mad at me for saying that because, of course, once they lose a big game, like, now you're saying overrated. But maybe we were overrating them a bit, especially in the cold weather. So I got the Packers at 4. I think that they are a legitimate Super Bowl contender in the NFC, but we're going to learn a lot about them on Thursday night.
Yeah, I had them at 6.
Yeah, they're right around there. Yeah. They're very, very good.
Playing well last couple of weeks. They're about to get waxed on Thursday. Those will drop. 3, I got the Bills. I think the Bills are awesome. I just think there's 2 teams a little better than them. Typical Bills type of game this past weekend at night, snowy. Josh Allen turns into Superman. Totally blow out San Francisco. To me, probably the second or third best team in the AFC. I got them there at 3.
Yeah, I've been on Buffalo all season. I've thought once we saw that Josh Allen could possibly do it, that he could carry this team, and in particular that James Cook has been able to play a solid supporting role. I had no idea how that was going to work this year, but it ended up he's stepped into a bigger role and he's been great for them.
Oh, he's been awesome.
This Buffalo team, they're 10-2, as we just said. They're competing for the 1 seed, and they've had a lot of good wins. I know they've had a couple bad games. Getting blown out in Baltimore was a disaster, but they've played a lot of good games to offset that. They've beaten the Chiefs. They blew out the 49ers. They obliterated the Seahawks in Seattle. Like, this Bills team has played as many excellent games as they've played bad games. I'm feeling very good about them heading into this rest of stretch.
Is right now, you know what? We'll get to it in a second with the Bills. Ziggy, why don't we wrap it up here? Who you got 2, Detroit or Philly?
You have to pit Philly here. I've got him at 3 in my own rankings. But look, you can't not put Detroit in 1 of what they've shown. I know they're coming off not a great game, but the fact that not a great game for them is beating a divisional rival by 3, admittedly not great, but that only looks questionable because of how excellent their last 6 games before that were. No, Detroit's going to have to lose or play some abysmal football in order to get knocked out of there. Eagles, on the other hand, obviously coming off a huge win. I'm very happy with how they played this weekend. Going into Baltimore and playing how they did, that moved them up to 2 in my rankings, right? I didn't have them there. The only reason they're not 1 is just because of how dominant the team ahead of them has been. But the Eagles can compete with anyone. And if they get that 1 seed, I'm picking them to win the Super Bowl.
Wow, to win the Super Bowl. Okay, yeah. So the Lions are going to go at 1 here. I have some thoughts on Detroit that I'm going to save for whether or not they win this game against Green Bay. So
so you're a coward.
Okay,
That's
fine.
what you're
you know
saying.
what I'm saying? Like if we're just talking, if we're talking
what the heck
about
is that? Oh, if they beat Green Bay, I won't bring it up.
no, I'm just saying, like, we're talking about the Chiefs skating by games, the Vikings skating by games, and Detroit has had some authoritative wins over the Colts, the Jaguars, the Cowboys, but there are also games where Detroit has been very fortunate to win. Houston, wild comeback kickers making kicks by an inch. The Rams opening night overtime win where I thought the Rams had that towards the end. Detroit goes on a game tying drive and wins in overtime. The Vikings, they have a game winning field goal on that one. The Bears here, like there's a handful of games for Detroit as well. So we can talk about teams.
Yeah, there's a bit difference in handful versus every one.
Everyone,
like Detroit's blowing out 4 teams by 40 points. You guys play the Jags, beat them by 3. Look at the freaking Chiefs when they're playing the Raiders, winning by 2 at home. There's a huge difference in Detroit versus the Vikings and the Chiefs.
I'm saying
you guys skate by every game. They've blown out 4 teams by like 30.
We've skated by maybe 3 of our last.
No, I get vibes from that 13 and 4 team. It's the same thing.
Very different.
No, it's not. No, you know why it is? Because you have Sam Darnold now, who's even less reliable than Kirk Cousins.
The 13 and 4 team, that defense was truly, it was special how bad that defense was. This defense is not. That's the difference between the two of them. No, I think Detroit's awesome, and they deserve to be number 1 still. But people were mad when I said they're going to have to prove it over the next few weeks. Like, yeah, just show me you deserve the number 1 spot and beat the Packers.
And they're going to have to. People have said, what do they have to prove? Here's what they have to prove to me. They have to prove they can overcome all of these injuries. And I know that's not fair, but the NFL is not fair. It is what it is. They've got a lot to overcome. We need to see it from them.
And I think they're built to. Like, the whole mentality, the whole Detroit tough thing that's going on this year, like, they have been great. And now just finish strong with the games against 3 top 6 teams in the league according to our power rankings. So I mean they'll earn it. Like they have every opportunity to earn that top spot and be the favorite going into the playoffs.
They've already proved it to me. I have no doubt they're winning out.
Yeah, I don't get why Detroit doesn't get any knock for having a horrible second half against the Bears and getting really lucky that Caleb
they killed the Bears.
Yeah, no. See, like Chicago had the ball should have had the ball on the 12-yard line. The hands to the face saved them.
You didn't watch the game.
That's not what That's not the vibe I'm getting in this conversation. So
they were 16-0. They killed them. They killed them
and won by 3.
They killed them.
So
the Bears were never going to win.
So the list goes. Yeah, a lot of double standards in this conversation.
What are you talking about? They're about to go up by 20 points and try to
fumble. Like, I don't understand what is. I don't understand. Ziggy's like waving this off. Hold on a second.
No,
what are you talking about?
There's no way the Lions were ever going to lose that game. Like they were.
What do you mean? There's no way they were? You can't look at the results Lions, and say there's no way they were going to lose.
The Lions were in total control.
No, they weren't. The
Bears
had the ball on the 20-yard line with
16 at the half. Kicking the crap out of them. I think it's easy to come out in a game where you're up big and kind of lay an egg.
Let's revisit something. How about when the Vikings were up 11 with 2 minutes left against the Bears? We're kicking the crap out of them. But then you go, it went to overtime. It's a close game.
Yeah, Lions didn't go to OT. You went to OT. You went to OT. That was close. That's pathetic.
We both won by 3.
The only reason the Lions game didn't go to OT was because of maybe the worst clock management I've ever seen in the NFL.
The Vikings and the Bears going to OT is pathetic. Like
this makes no sense.
You'd never see the Lions going to OT with the Bears.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments what you think.
Also,
one of us has to be right and one of us has to be wrong.
Lions blowing out the Jags and the Titans, Vikings scraping by those teams. Like, there's a huge difference in this team versus the Vikings. Like, they are so much better than you.
Yeah, I mean, we've played them and it was a really close game.
They probably took you lightly.
Yeah, like we can make all the excuses.
Sure, man.
That was also in Minnesota too.
I mean, we can make all the excuses we want.
When they play in Detroit, forget it.
But if we're holding one team to one standard and another team to another
No,
standard.
I'm saying you guys are skating by much more than they've skated by. They've shown me time and time again they can blow teams out and look amazing. I have not seen that from you
since
the freaking Texans week 2.
Yeah, and maybe the Packers week 4.
Yes, Detroit. No, that was a close game. You beat them by what, 3?
Yeah, but like a lot of these games about the Vikings
Like
we're
Detroit,
talking about are situations where teams scored and we're going for onside kicks with like a minute left.
you can say yes, Detroit is as skated by teams, yeah. But they've also shown me on occasion
They've
look
shown
like
more
they look
dominance,
like
yes.
world beaters. Minnesota and the Chiefs look like teams who are getting lucky, skating by, law of averages will catch up. That's the difference.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs have actually gotten more lucky than the Vikings. The Chiefs wins are
Feel
more
like-
miraculous.
Yeah, but
There's
it's equal,
any
though.
team that wins that's like 11-1, 10-2, 9-3. You're gonna have some luck on your side. That's just how it is in the NFL.
The Lions have much less luck than the Chiefs and the Vikings. That's the difference.
The difference between the Chiefs and the Vikings, though, is that the Chiefs have had games where it's legitimately the last play of the game. Like O'Connell, last play. The Ravens' toe being out of bounds, last play. Pass interference, Bengals, last play. Last play, pass interference, Falcons. Block kick, literally last play. Like the Vikings are playing close games, but they usually end with us kneeing out the clock. We're not having like Hail Marys to win games.
All right, Chiefs are probably.
We're having like interceptions on last.
You can't compare yourselves to the Lions. The Lions are heads and shoulders better than you.
I think they are a separate tier above.
Like,
I think they are on the top tier, like I said before, with the Eagles, and the next tier is the Vikings and the Packers.
Look, you can point out one game where I barely beat the Bears, fine, but like, that's the Vikings every game. That's not the Lions every game.
Not every. Like, that's what I'm saying with the Vikings. Okay, so our top 10 was Paul put the Commanders. I put the Commanders at 10. Jack, Seahawks at 9. Ziggy goes Steelers 8. I go Ravens at 7. Jack goes Vikings at 6. Our top 5, starting with Ziggy. Chiefs at 5. Packers at 4. Bills at 3. Eagles at 2. And the Lions at 1. Real quick, guys, you want to just blow through our own top 10s here just so everyone can figure out how this went?
Yeah,
Starters, Jack.
Yeah, so 1 to 10, I got Lions, Eagles, Bills, Steelers. 8 was just outrageous there, Ziggy. Vikings, Packers, Chiefs, Ravens, Seahawks, Commanders. And the Chargers were 11.
Lions, Bills, Eagles, Ravens, Packers, Vikings, Chiefs, Steelers, Commanders, Broncos.
Okay, I was interested where you had the Ravens. You had them at 4 still.
I like this team.
And I went Lions, Eagles, Bills, top 3. All the same top 3 again. The Chiefs and Vikings. I had Chiefs at 4, Vikings at 5. The Packers at 6, Steelers 7, 8 Ravens. So I bumped Baltimore all the way down to 8. The Chargers at 9, Commanders at 10.
Yeah, it's about time we get put over the Raven. Like,
yeah, no, yeah.
I've been saying it since week 2 we're better than them.
So we're gonna wrap up the show today here with the AFC contender tiers, and we left it open to everybody to make their own tiers. So it's not like we have to fill 2 or 3 categories each and see where it is. You can make your own tier ranking. Okay. Would anyone like to start, or should I kick things off here?
You go ahead.
You can kick things off.
Okay, I'll kick it off. So
you're the point guard. Kick things off.
So my tier of Super Bowl contenders. That's the first one. The ones that I said, okay, these are the teams that I think can legitimately make a Super Bowl.
Is it just AFC?
Just AFC.
And does ordering your tiers matter?
It's up
to each person, but I'm just wondering, like,
Ziggy,
I'm just looping in the teams here.
You being so far away brings tears to my eyes.
I'll kind of give you an idea of where I rank it. Super Bowl contenders, the Bills are clearly in the AFC. I think that they're in the number 1 spot. And you can look at the power rankings too, so you get an idea of what teams I'm high on. I think Buffalo's the number 1 contender. I have them. I have the Chiefs, and I have the Ravens. Okay, so I have 3. So I have Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson.
This man has Baltimore.
Whether or not you think the Chiefs are getting lucky, whether or not you think the Ravens defense stinks, like I've said on the power rankings, you have those 3 quarterbacks, you have a Super Bowl shot. I also put the Steelers in my Super Bowl contenders.
I was waiting for it.
And they are just in there. They're just in there. The reason that they're in there, though, now is the separation they have in the AFC North is enough for me to think they can actually win a playoff game now. And if they win a playoff game, let's say they're the 3 seed, going to Buffalo or Kansas City, do I really think that they can go in and win those 2 of those games? Unlikely, but I can see a world. Okay, I can see a world where this Steelers team gets it together. We're playing really good football, and Mike Tomlin's one of the best coaches in the league. So I have the 3 quarterbacks and the Steelers just squeaking in. Then I have the playoff teams as my second tier: the Chargers, the Texans, the Broncos. All teams I think are going to get in. They can have good games. They can have bad games. Probably a first round exit. Maybe you see a world where like the Texans. The Texans and Chargers might play, so maybe one of them get to the second round, but that's it. Then I said, interesting if they get in, the Bengals and the Dolphins, where they're probably out at this point, but if they get in, you have my attention. Tua, Joe Burrow, those offenses can play. So those are 3 tiers. 4, I had to just make a Colts tier because I think they stink, but they have I believe they're going to get into the playoffs according to my predictions the rest of the year. So I had to put them in their own tier of a horrible team that might just get into the playoffs. And then the goodbye tiers: the Jets, Patriots, Raiders, Browns, Titans, Jags.
I mean, I was a lot more. I had 3 tiers.
I get really cute with my tiers, and I get.
No, man, I like that. But I had Super Bowl contender, then good playoff teams, and then just everybody else.
Okay, let's hear it.
So my Super Bowl contender, and when I say good playoff team, it's like a team who could make a run and go to the Super Bowl as well.
Sure, they're teams that are relevant.
Yes, exactly. So my contenders were the Bills and the Steelers. To me, those are the 2 best teams in the AFC.
And no one else.
And then the next tier, 2 teams by themselves, Ravens, Chiefs. Then the next tier, you have Chargers, Texans, Broncos. Then below that, it's everybody else.
Okay, so you legitimately, you just had the 4 teams that I had, and then you said no one else matters.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you look at the AFC quarterbacks, right, in that top 4, only 2 have won a ring, and Big Russ is one of them. I mean, when I saw him throw for 414 yards, I had to change my pants this week because our offense is so back. I don't think we've had a quarterback throw for 400 yards since 2017. This Steelers offense came to life. Pickens has to be a bit smarter, but he's a dog. The Muth is a dog. Najee's running wild. I mean, so many things going right now in Pittsburgh. I think that Browns lost focus up a little bit. Being a desperate Bengals team on the road.
That was a really big win because the Steelers have a tough schedule coming up, and I thought this was a spot where I picked the Bengals, and if the Bengals had won, I was worried about Pittsburgh starting to slip, and they really started to take care. I mean, they were up 17 in the second half.
You can also knock our defense, say, you're just shootout, blah blah. We were up by 17. Our defense forced a fumble 6. We were in control really for the last quarter.
And the Bengals have a great offense.
Yeah, the last quarter after that game, we were in control. Impressive win, eye-opening win. I'm going to put Pittsburgh behind Buffalo. I think Buffalo is the best team in the AFC, like the Lions of the AFC.
One other thing, Jack, is you also you would not have seen that from the previous year's Steelers. They would not be able to hang with Cincinnati.
Oh, they wouldn't have scored 44 points.
Even though the Bengals defense is horrible, I do not believe any of those former Pittsburgh offenses with Pickett, Trubisky would stick with them.
So
Justin Fields was great for gadget plays, but he's the second best quarterback the Steelers have had in a while, and he wouldn't have been enough.
Yeah.
Hey,
I don't even want to see a Mason Rudolph or Doug Hodges or whoever would have done.
Fields ended the game with that scramble on the
So,
third and
Ziggy, we're kind of in a similar spot here. I had 4 Super Bowl contenders. Jack had 2 main ones, and then the Chiefs and the Ravens right behind. What do you think? Before giving us your rankings, how do you think? Are you grading us okay on our papers here? If we turn them into the professor,
my list looks very different than yours.
Okay,
both of yours.
Oh.
So it's what I'm always interested in are the arguments, right? I don't grade students on their viewpoints. I grade them on the arguments, and I think there are arguments for lists that look different than mine. I just happen to have the correct one. So what are you gonna do? It's hard. I've just gotten lucky, right? It's not, you have the same evidence as me. You're both very smart and all of that. But I just happen to get lucky and have the right list. So
you maybe chosen.
I've only got 2 Super Bowl contenders on my list. So Jack's right there. I've got the Bills and the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
I believe in this Ravens offense. I have said time and time again, defenses come and go. Even within the season, they go up, they go down. Offenses, when they're good, tend to stay good. And I'm not picking against the Ravens offense being good. Of course, Buffalo, in a lot of ways, it feels like they're almost just the better version of the Ravens. They've got a better defense. They've got a better quarterback. Obviously, the Ravens' run game is better, but I think Josh Allen is such a good player. He can make up for that gap on his own. So that's why I've got that order there. That's my top tier, my contenders tier. Next tier is just one team. I call this tier better lucky than good. And that's where the Kansas City Chiefs go. The Kansas City Chiefs, I don't know what to say. They're obviously a decent team. They're obviously a pretty good team. But over the past 3 years, they've had so much luck on their side. I mean, that's really the only way you can win 2 Super Bowls in a row is to get very lucky, right? You have to have a certain baseline level of being good, but things have to break your way. And we are continuing to see things break for the Chiefs. Will that continue? I don't know. But at a certain point, you hope Andy Reid can pick it up. Next, I've got the frisky tier. These are teams I think could win a playoff game, maybe 2, but that I don't have going to the Super Bowl. That in order goes the Steelers, the Texans, the Broncos, and the Chargers. Steelers could climb. They're really the only team I can see changing tiers on this list. But I haven't seen enough from the offense. I don't buy it. One good game against the Bengals doesn't convince me that Russell Wilson's going to be able to do it. 3 good games from Russell Wilson would. Next here, I've got the tough outs. They might make the playoffs. They might not. But you don't want to play them if they do. And you don't want to play them if they don't. That's the Bengals and the Dolphins. Throw the Colts in there too. Why not? You're happy playing this team. I don't want to put them a tier below the Bengals and the Dolphins because they're much more likely to make the playoffs, but I'm really not that scared of the Colts.
Yeah, they're the weird one.
Yeah, like I don't know what you're supposed to do. They might make the playoffs, but they're just not good. Then I've got the scouting tier. The Browns, Patriots, Jets, Titans, Jaguars, and Raiders. Those teams, if they want, everyone could just take the rest of the season off and go scout some college games. Scouting the college football playoffs would be a better use of like their times of their players than anyone else. They're not doing anything.
Could you imagine telling a Jets fan back in August that we would be doing a December 2nd show tiering the teams and that they would be accompanied by the Patriots, Raiders, Browns, Titans, and Jaguars?
With Aaron Rodgers starting every single game.
We said Rodgers stays healthy. You get Devontae Adams.
That's the Black Cloud franchise.
And you are with the Patriots, Raiders, Browns, Titans, and Jaguars.
You know what I would have said as a Jets fan? Dang, how
sounds about right.
Like how are the Pats, Raiders, Jaguars so good also?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I guess Drake May hit. Deshaun Watson turned it around.
Yeah.
But no, it's
So
it's funny with this Jets team. I've seen a lot of Jets fans saying that this is the most disappointing Jets season of all time. That might actually be true.
Oh, I think it might be.
Well, because I mean, yeah,
with
the expectation,
crazy.
I would say so.
Well, yeah. What do you have? You have like Vinny Testaverde getting hurt week 1, but that was kind of like Rodgers. You know, you had the horrible injury. It's over. This is you had everything you wanted, and it still somehow went worse than the worst case scenario.
Only one person in their preseason preview said the Jets finishing 4th in the division. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I had them. I had some fun, and I think I had them in the 2 seed.
I had them at 3. I believed they stunk, but not this bad.
So I have 3 takeaways from our tier list that I've accumulated over after listening to all this. The first one, Ziggy, I found it interesting on your Bills are just the better Ravens. Thinking back to Derrick Henry running for like 200 yards on the Bills defense. And just slaughtering Buffalo on that Sunday night game. Now, it was a long time ago. That was a
disastrous game.
It was a long time ago, and I would love to see that rematch. But we're all talking so highly about the Bills, and they've been great. Josh Allen is right there on his way to an MVP award. But people are forgetting that Baltimore beat the crap out of them in that game. Like that wasn't even close. And I'd love to see that rematch. And I'm not ruling out another big Baltimore win. But it all depends on what Ravens team shows up. Like the Buffalo might be a better version of the Ravens, but I don't know if they actually. I don't know if I pick them to beat Baltimore.
I mean, it's just so hard to go to one game, though.
It is.
I mean,
it is. And there are weird games.
It's no sample size. Like if you play 10 times, how many are blowouts?
I totally
point,
get
Jack.
It. I totally get it. I totally acknowledge it.
If that game is played 10 times, Baltimore blows them out twice?
Sure.
Once.
Sure, maybe one time. But I'm just saying it's funny to me, like we're talking so much about Buffalo and they've looked great. I would like to see that rematch.
And we lost to the freaking Cowboys. My God.
Yeah, that was bad. Okay, and the Colts. Oh, I mean, they might be a playoff team.
Actually, the Colts aren't that bad.
So that was the first thing I was looking at was the Bills-Ravens comparisons. The second one is I cannot believe that you guys still have not learned about the Chiefs. Like still, you guys are playing the exact same trap, falling into the same trap as last. And you're even acknowledging.
I made a special tier for them. I made a special tier.
But you have to put them in the Super Bowl contenders. Even if you think they're getting lucky, they have to be in the contender list because last year is the same deal. We said they sucked on offense. They went into Baltimore. They went into Buffalo. They got the
lucky.
49ers.
No, this year's worse.
They didn't get lucky in those Bills and Ravens.
They look
Yes,
worse.
they did.
They look worse this year. Like significantly.
You're forgetting how bad the offense was last year. It wasn't really
as bad. The Chiefs should have 7 losses right now.
They should have more than one. That's for certain.
They're the 3rd best team in the AFC.
But again, until I see it, I am not knocking them out of. Until I see them go and lose a playoff game, I mean, it's just been consistent greatness from them.
The only chance is if they have the number 1 seed.
Let's say they get the 1 seed. If they have the 1 seed, they're definitely going to go to the AFC Championship game.
Then I guess they're a contender, yeah.
Although the situation that their path could be a little tricky because of you guys. Like I think the Ravens have a better chance of beating the Chiefs than you guys do, and that's mostly Lamar Jackson there because you guys have the Lamar key. Most teams don't. If you win the division, they are probably going to get the Ravens in the second round. If the Ravens are able to beat you. Yeah. So that's where they're getting you or Baltimore in the second round, where the Bills are going to get either the Chargers or the Texans. Like the 2 seed path to the conference championship game might actually be easier.
Yeah,
than getting Baltimore in the second round.
Well, you're discrediting.
That's me completely discrediting the Steelers, which is not fair. And they'll probably win that playoff game. But
in Pittsburgh, of course.
The very last thing that I was going to say, I think you're probably right, Ziggy, putting the Steelers below those 3 teams. I put them in there just sneaking in. Can I really picture Pittsburgh in the Super Bowl? Probably not. But I think they're closer to the Bills, Chiefs, and Ravens than they are the Broncos and Texans. And maybe even Chargers right now. Just by a hair.
I just look at how you can say you can see the Ravens there, not the Steelers.
Where, in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
I think the Ravens are the best offense in the NFL.
But I think that you guys have the key to the Ravens.
The Ravens haven't ever been there.
No,
when has this iteration of the Steelers been there?
I mean, Russ has been there.
Russ has been there.
This is our first Super Bowl winning quarterback since Big Ben.
No, you bring up a good point.
I don't make projections on how teams are going to play based on what their quarterback did 10 seasons ago. That's not how I decide who's going to be good and who's going to be bad.
So you base it on recent then? Because Lamar's never been there.
Yeah, I base it on how they've done this season.
Yeah, because Lamar's never been there.
The Ravens have the best offense in the NFL.
I think it's hard to put Baltimore in that category and leave Pittsburgh out.
Ravens don't have the best offense in football. You think?
They do.
No. Do you think they do?
At this point through the season, they've shown that. Will that continue? It's hard to say. It's going to be one of the 3 or 4 best for sure.
So, yeah, I think that...
everyone's a choker until they not. That's the thing. Everybody's a choker. They can't get it done in the playoffs, and then suddenly they go. How many years did it take Peyton Manning to get to the Super Bowl? It wasn't until he was 30, right? There were so many guys where they were defined by choking in their career, and then things came together a year. They got hot, and they got it done, made the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl.
I don't think Michael Jordan won an NBA Finals till he was 27.
Yeah, how many first-round exits did Michael Jordan take? A bunch. It happens. That's all I'm saying. So I don't like he's a choker, he's never done it before, so he never will. I don't know. Maybe Patrick Mahomes wins 10 Super Bowls in a row.
But all I'm saying is I think if they're up there, we should be up there.
That's all so there you have it. The AFC tiers, a little power rankings, some good debates.
This episode was just 2 shows of us ranking teams.
Yep, of us ranking
just 2 segments.
But you know what? That's my favorite part about
people
about
love
football
rankings.
discussions. Rankings are great.
People will chime in
too,
give their opinions.
Yeah, that's like our drafts. Our drafts are just us ranking things. It's great. I love it. All right, we will be back with probably the week 14 preview show, and then we'll have a reaction to the Lions and the Packers this week as well. So we'll see you soon.